All right. Well, good morning, Katie.
Good
Thanks for
morning.
coming. Will you tell us? So, you guys, I know Katie from college, and she owns a Pilates studio and also teaches gyrotonics. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, tell us all about what you do right now.
Whew. So I own a Pilates studio in downtown Chicago and have for the last 15 years.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I know it's a long time. Um, and we specialize in Pilates on the equipment, all the equipment, because there is more than just the reformer. Gyrotonic exercise, which is another movement modality that a lot of people still haven't heard about, but it's amazing. And there's another practitioner here who does Feldenkrais work. We do Franklin method. And then I also specialize in something called restorative exercise, which is based on Katy Bowman's work of nutritious movement. And she focuses a lot on natural movement and how to incorporate more natural movement into your day.
So that's amazing. And the fact that you've held a studio for 15 years, that's amazing. With the current climate of the way, at least the way it is out here in Denver.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, it's funny because I've like gone through all the storms because back in, was it 2004, whatever that other like little mini crash was with the real estate, I watched a lot of studios close.
Yeah.
And the fact that we sort of weathered them just kind of proves that, whatever we were doing was working. And we're still here to talk about it.
That's awesome. And not to discredit what you do, but like, I do see some of those, like, I cringe when I even think about it, but like group Pilates classes, I don't know what you think about like a USA Pilates or whatever, but I can't imagine the instructors have what you have.
So, I kind of liken it to, it's like the changing of the guard here. So you'll hear people totally going in and out. You can teach Pilates or gyrotonic or whatever, and I consider it a job, or you can have it as a career.
Gotcha.
And so I was a teacher trainer and still am. And a lot of women who would go through, it's like, oh, I want a part-time job because I want to be able to help my kids out after school and I want to make my own hours. And there's that personality. And then there's somebody else who just loves the body, is kind of a body nerd and loves anatomy, loves helping people. And there's a difference between the two kind of people in the community. And so coincidentally, there's actually a Pilates studio upstairs in my building. And they do all reformer. I know it's like, but they do all reformer work, and it's a self-created method, and they just pack it full of people. But I think people don't understand that the Pilates work is much more than just the reformer. It's a whole system of movement. And so yeah, I think that we both give a very different product. And so I just kind of turn a blind eye and kind of keep on my path.
Right.
And like people are going to be drawn to the group classes and the, online trained Pilates person at a really low cost. And then if people really need like true body education, pain management, recovery from injuries, kind of more the aging population, they come to me.
Yeah. I love that. And also like, it's no different than my job. Like everybody does what I do, and you can find a price point that works for you, but we have to have like that abundance mentality. Like there's enough people for you. There's enough for me. Totally. But it's really interesting to watch the evolution of it all when you like see it.
Yeah, it is. It's an evolution. You're absolutely right.
So, okay. So my gals, are most of them strength trained. Well, I would say the majority of them strength trained. Pretty much everyone is able-bodied.
Yeah.
Most of them work like office jobs or like real estate. So they're out in the field, but they're in their car.
Yeah.
What kind of movements do you think they need to supplement like what they're doing?
What they're doing, like what you're giving them essentially?
Yeah.
So, I also like the caveat of, is movement exercise and is exercise movement? Because, to me, they're two separate categories, and it's very simple in nature, but to me, just knowing what the separation is and the difference between the two makes a big difference, like mentally. So the way I look at it is exercise always has a goal. It's, you know, you want to lose weight, you want to lose inches, you want to gain strength, you want to burn calories. Like there's always like a goal mindset. And that's why you're like choosing to do what you're doing with the specific movement. With movement, it's just everything. It's whatever you're doing to get yourself through the day. You know, you have to move from point A to point B. You have to carry something. It's just movement is movement. You're breathing, that's movement. You're blinking, that's movement. So exercise is movement, but movement is not necessarily exercise.
Cool.
Like once I learned that, I was like what? That make what? So to me, I like to focus a lot on you are like amazing at giving them exercise, and that is your specialty, and they all have their goals, and you're so awesome about like clear goal setting, and like there's a purpose and there's a drive. And then I like to supplement with movement. Like where can you sneak in more movement in your day where it acts like an exercise? There's a subconscious goal there, but that's not what you're really thinking about. So we like to call it stacking your life.
Yes.
Where all you're doing is you're taking something that you already have to do in your daily life and you're layering on like a little extra movement, which really is like an exercise, but you don't have to call it that because you're already just doing that to get yourself, you know, from point A to point B. So like a good example is that old like advice of park at the furthest parking spot from the grocery store. So the reason you would want to do it is because way to stack it is you already have to go to the grocery store, right? You're already going. So you park at the furthest spot so that you can walk, you know, to the distance to the grocery store. You're getting a little outdoor time. So that's another stack because we're all a little bit deficient on being outside in nature. So you're already adding like 2 elements to just grocery shopping, which is awesome. So that's like the motivation. So then when you get to the grocery store, do you push your cart or do you maybe carry some groceries, maybe in like a basket? And then you're getting like your upper body workout for the day.
Oh my gosh.
So, right. So you're just like layering in opportunities of like adding some more movement exercise because your goal is, okay, well, I need upper body strength to begin with. So if I'm like, you know, maybe I'm doing like more of a leg day, but I want to like challenge my upper body, then I'm going to like, and I carry like 2 baskets. So I'm like balanced on each side, to the grocery store. And then if it gets too heavy, then I put it in a cart. But at least like for a few minutes, I've been carrying around heavy items. And then I've just like layered in another opportunity to get more movement in my day.
Oh my gosh. And that's what we're talking about today, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I want to just reiterate or show how this really applies to what we're doing because Katy, a really big thing for like what I do is this thing called NEAT. Are you familiar with NEAT, non-exercise activity?
Okay.
We don't want to be exercising more, right? We want to be moving more.
Yeah.
And when we move more, whether it's a fidget or carrying 2 baskets, we're going to be burning more calories.
Correct.
Not that our goal is always to burn calories, but our bodies are going to work harder when we're doing these things. So this is so important because I really don't want people in the gym all day, every day. I want them to get their 4 to 5 workouts in a week, maybe 3, I don't care.
Yeah.
But then they're moving. Correct. So how else can we do this?
Yeah. So some of my favorite examples are, so if you pick up your child from school, you're already doing it. You're usually staying in like the lane or whatever, the pickup drop off lane. What if you parked like 2 blocks away from it and walk there? Oh. And it probably doesn't add that much time to your day because you're probably just sitting in the lane to begin with. But what if you parked like 2 blocks from school, parked your car, walked, then your child had an opportunity to walk to the car. And then you also have this time of like talking to your child. Maybe they can unload their day on you. You've got like maybe like a 5-minute walk. And there's just something that, again, with stacking your life, we're always trying to find like, we want like more community, more outdoor time, you know, time spent with our family, eating, you know, this is all sort of built in. So maybe you pick up your child from school, you walk in, you know, you've had a little walk, maybe you hand them their snack, you're walking to the car, you're unloading your day, you're getting a little movement, a little outdoor time. And it's really simple, but yet it just doesn't always occur to us that would be an option. And I think the Katy Bowman work that I did with the nutritious movement, it's all simple stuff. I mean, how could we not have come up with, I'll park 2 blocks away and I'll walk to, you know, as opposed to sitting in my car on my phone, waiting for my child to be, you know, let out from school. So really like simple, but like effective ways to sneak in just more opportunities to stack.
I love it because with my other coaching, with my high performance coaching, we talk a lot about like, same thing. I'm not giving any groundbreaking advice. But
Right.
well, oh my God, my mind just went blank. But like common sense is not always common practice.
Right. Exactly. Well, I like that. That's a really great phrase.
How true is that?
I mean, it is. So I, having come from like a dance background, a Pilates background, gyrotonic, like I write about this a lot. Like I was really addicted to the idea that I needed to go to a gym and work out for an hour every day. That was some programming that I learned along the way. And I don't know where it happened, but I felt like I would get anxiety if I did not like get my hourly workout in the day. And it became a problem. And so once I learned that movement is not exercise, it was so freeing to say, you know what, I can, for me, I take the train to and from work. I live in Chicago. So like what I was saying about the drop off for the child, I actually get off the train 2 stops early because I'm already going home. And if I have the time, I like watch the clock. And if I, can time it right, I can walk those 2 last train stops almost faster than the train can take me there. And then boom, I've like gotten some outdoor time. I've gotten a little walk in. I make my phone calls a lot of time when I'm walking. That's, I think, one of the perfect ways to sort of stack those phone calls where you're going to have to sit on hold and that, and it's just brutal. Like walk, bring your phone with you, sit on hold, but you're already walking. So it's like, you don't feel so like, it's not so like mind numbing and painful to already have to do it. So
you feel like a prisoner. You can't move.
You feel like a prisoner. And so I think, just finding that simplicity and, once I sort of had this paradigm shift of, movement is movement, like I said, standing workstations, sitting workstations, how to become productive, but still be able to be at a desk. Yeah. That's a whole other mindset of just ways to incorporate just a little bit more sneaky movement in your day.
Oh my gosh,
it's really freeing. And then, the objective of like the upper body workout, like I need my arms more toned, or I want that, or I need better posture, or whatever it is. It's happening, the frequency of it happening all day long as opposed to a quick spurt, I think is actually, it's more effective, I think, in the tissues and your structure. And I think that your body will adapt to that better than like a really hard hit, for a quick spurt of time. I think frequency spread out throughout your day is going to really do it.
Gosh. I love that too, because if you think about anything like habit formation, frequency over time that yields the most benefits. It's not doing it. It's really hard for 2 days. It's just what you said. That's awesome. I have to say one point. So you had that ingrained in you. Like I have to get my hour in at the gym for whatever.
Right.
So there's 2 of us in my group that are swimmers. Libby, she actually swam in college, and with swimming, there's 2 days. So it literally is ingrained in us because both of us have struggled with the fact that we used to work out 2 times a day, and that was normal.
Right.
We have had to reprogram that. Like that's not normal, not necessary.
Right.
But it's crazy. That's something to think about for those of us that like have kids. I mean, we want them to do the things, but make sure they see the bigger picture. Well, and I love this because I love what you're talking about. This is big picture stuff. Like
I think so.
Yeah, it's all part of the bigger picture because when you're not spending all that time in the gym, I love going to the gym, but there's so much more. When you're doing this, your life is richer, I feel. Like there's more freedom. Is there any other ways that you like to stack movement?
I kind of just talked about it really briefly, like the standing workstations where, standing desks became really in vogue, at least around here. I don't know if it kind of spread across the country, but they're great because, it gives you some variance in how you're being productive, but it also comes at a cost because we weren't meant to stand for long hours throughout the day either. So if you think of the Industrial Revolution, people stood at, conveyor belts, tinkering and putting things together. And then there was a host of issues that happened as a result of that. So everybody went to sitting and then we've kind of stayed here. And so, so what we like to call it is like a dynamic workstation where you need to find ways that you can be productive, like at your computer or whatever you need to do, but you have opportunities where you can have a standing workstation. You can maybe like sit on the floor. if you have a laptop, you can move it around and find different areas of the house or office that you could like switch up your environment. I have things like balls under my desk where I'll like roll my feet out. I also think like if you are going to do a standing workstation, you should have like an anti-fatigue mat because it isn't natural to be standing on a hard surface all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have like little toys that kind of follow me around like wherever I'm going to find myself standing. The kitchen sink is also another one where people stand at the sink because they're chopping or doing whatever they're cooking. And so it's just another opportunity of I'm already standing here for a period of time. So I've got like a half cylinder, like a half foam roller. So I can do some calf stretching.
Oh my gosh.
I've got a ball that I can roll around on my feet. And I'll just kind of sneak in another opportunity to just add more movement to something that I'm already going to be doing to begin with.
This is so brilliant. Like you said, like how have we not thought about this?
How simple, right?
I love that idea because I recently started tracking my steps. I just wanted to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not pretty. It's not pretty,
Really?
Katy. Oh my gosh. I have to make it a point to get up throughout my day to get steps in.
Yeah.
So that means I'm sedentary, like I'm sitting all day long, but I need to find a place where I can stand throughout the day and do my stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter if you're working out for an hour or 45 minutes in the gym if you're sitting the rest of the day.
Right. So we like to call that like exercise sedentarism. It's kind of like a mouthful, but it's that concept of, again, if you break down your day into like a 24-hour period, you know, if you really do take out that like 1 hour, that's like 1/24 or 1/24th of your day, you subtract like some, you know, sleep time in there. But at the end of the day, it's just a very small percentage. And so, but the mindset and some of this programming, I don't know where it came from, but if we got our hour in, I thought that it offset the 8 hours a day that I was sitting at my desk.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not true. My
doesn't even make
tissues
sense.
believe that. My brain thought that, but my tissues didn't believe that. So when people say like, you know, I think one of the hardest occupations is being like a therapist because they are like required to sit and kind of be still and focus on the patient. And they sit like hour after hour after hour. And there's really not opportunity for them to like get up and move around. So even if they work out for 1 hour a day, it does not offset the many hours that they're sitting in a chair talking to patients. So it's just, yeah, it's like just an uphill battle. So if you can, again, add that frequency throughout your day, have the hour workout for sure. But then realize that there's still opportunity to keep moving throughout your day. And so again, it goes back to that frequency of interspersing stuff beyond just the hour workout.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you mentioned therapist. I also feel that being a hairdresser is extremely hard.
Oh,
because you're on your feet and your arms are doing weird things. What
it's a lot of repetitive motion.
Yeah. Like Dana is like, her body's out of whack. She loves gyrotonics. But it's like, okay, if you ever are looking to expand, there's like one gyrotonic studio in the area and it's in Boulder. It's not in Denver.
Oh, okay.
So we need you. But like, what do you tell those people? How do you help that person?
Oh, it's so hard because it's kind of like a long time ago when Michael Phelps was at like the top of his career, somebody said to like, oh, I would love to like get my hands on him and, you know, do my magic and correct his alignment. And I'm like, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole because he is trying to do a feat. His job is to get from one end of the pool to the other as fast as humanly possible. And he will distort his body any way possible to make that happen. Because again, it goes to like his goal, his mindset is to just do it fast.
Yeah.
So he has a ton of compensation techniques to get him there, which is what he should be doing. Yeah. So the same thing kind of happens with like, if you have like a manual job, like a hairdresser, anything that you've got this like repetitive motion that you're doing over and over again, you're just going to have to be extra mindful of so let's say, because I think of like the rolling brush. That's why I keep doing this. Like they always roll the brush when they're drying your hair. I don't think it's really the cutting. I really do think it's like the hair drying.
Agreed.
Is really repetitive. And also that like snipping motion. So I think a lot of women get like that thumb arthritis. And so you just have to be mindful of like, you're going to have to stretch that particular arm with like hand stretches, some like forearm work. And then you're going to make sure that you use your other hand to do as many other things throughout the day as possible.
Oh my gosh.
So like if you're typically, and again, I'm left-handed, but if you're right-handed and you're always rolling, you know, the brush with one hand, you kind of like need to give that arm a break. And then you're going to have to force yourself to like pick up and carry things with your other hand just to offset. It's like cross training, right?
Yes.
You have to offset those tissues. They've been overworked and make the other ones pick up the slack, because what ultimately happens if you keep doing something like a pitcher, like one-sided, you're throwing this ball over and over again, you'll see their whole body will change and sort of like side bend to the side that runs tighter, that's overworked. And so ultimately we want to keep people a little bit more aligned and organized. And so you just have to find those other opportunities and offset them. But it's like cross training.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I see why that would be totally beneficial. And I cannot wait to tell Dana.
I mean, it's hard though, because you have to be really thoughtful, and you have to, that would have to be a priority for you,
right.
That, you know, you need to give that hand a break, or arm, or whatever it is you need to do. And then, you know, I would assume that like doing some of those activities would also lend themselves to, you will probably do things in your day that will mimic that, because that's like the tissues. Okay. So like, I'm thinking of the rolling of the brush. So like this action of like bending your wrist and tilting your hand, that's like the same thing as typing at your computer.
Oh my God.
So that wrist is getting like double duty if she, you know, does any computer work and blow dries somebody's hair. So you would just have to like, again, really deliberately make thoughtful choices of like minimizing typing work, maybe like talk into something to get words on a screen, and just, again, give those tissues a break and pick up the slack on the other side.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So are there any other ways that we can stack our movement? Any other tricks you got for us?
Oh, what are some other good ones? Okay, so this could be a little controversial, but so one of the reasons we don't move as much is because there's like a lot of technology. And I'm going to say not technology like this. I'm talking technology like a pillow, a stroller. Like I'm talking about like there are basic technologies, a car, obviously. There's basic technologies that are sort of a chair. That's a technology. You know, most people did not have chairs hundreds of years ago. So we have all these technologies in place, and they're just so embedded into our lifestyle that you don't even think that you should not utilize it, or that you had an option not to utilize it, like a chair. So we do like lots of floor sitting. It helps to have younger kids because you're going to be on the floor anyways. I just remember when I had my son and I was sitting on the floor a lot, I was like, I'm on the floor all the time. I need to start vacuuming my floor on a regular basis. I got like a Roomba, because I was like, I'm on the floor all the time. This is gross. But things like, do you always need a stroller? So, you know, I mean, again, I'm in the city and we walk everywhere, and you typically stroller ride everywhere you go. But I made like a very concerted effort with my kids. Like, could they walk part of the way? Sometimes I would just push the stroller empty, and then the kids would walk alongside me. Awesome. So here we go. We're getting outdoor time. My children are getting movement. I'm getting movement. You know, I'm still pushing the stroller. So, you know, in case if they need to hop back in, they can.
Yeah.
And so it's just like another movement opportunity for everybody to move more. But it's a technology, and it's like, we think of it as just, it's part of our daily life, but does it have to be? You know? So, so kind of noticing those things in your day, I think makes a big difference. It goes back to like escalators versus stairs. They're both a technology. You know, stairs are going to make you move more. So that's an option versus an elevator, all technology. Yeah. Because basically we didn't really have stairs. We had hills.
Yeah.
So things like that, like just kind of noticing, like, you know, if you rolled it back hundreds of years ago, what did people really have in a natural state, and can we do without them? And so I think the mindset, the drawback is it's hard. Yeah. So one of my girlfriends read a book, and she said that, you know, it's not always about being efficient. It's actually more about being effective. Yes. And I was like, oh, you're so right. Because like, I specialize in efficiency, and I make people's bodies move as efficiently as humanly possible. But at the same time, is that really effective? Yeah. So, so just thinking about that of like, yeah, it's going to take a lot more effort to like carry my kids through the zoo. That's way more effortful and tiring. And, you know, my limbs are going to get worn out. But ultimately, you know, my kids are going to move more. I'm going to move more. And so there are benefits to making the harder choices.
Absolutely. That's another thing. Like, this is so like high performance stuff too, because in terms of like your day, we don't necessarily want a busy day. We want a productive day. Busy and productive are two different things.
Correct.
Just like efficient and effective.
Mm-hmm.
I love the crossover.
Yeah.
So speaking of sitting, did you just
Yeah.
post about optimizing the time that you're sitting in your car? Did you make a post about that?
Yeah.
What did you say? I didn't look at the post. I was going to bed.
Okay. So there is kind of a way to optimize sitting in your car. And I just posted this recently because I had to drive to the studio last week. And normally, again, like I said, I take the train. So I was like, okay, well, I'm already in my car, so I'll do a quick video. But so again, it's a technology. A lot of seats are a bucket seat, which basically means that from like a side vantage point, it kind of slopes to the back. So if this were the backrest, you know, the seat kind of does like a boat. It's like sloped. So as a result of that, when you go to sit in it, you will naturally tuck under and like bend your low back, and it puts a lot of pull on the hamstrings, because if my feet are dangling off this side and the seat is like this, it's a lot of work because it's rocking me backward. So a lot of people will then think, oh, well, I need a lumbar pillow back here to like bring my pelvis forward. But actually that's all it's doing is shearing your ribs forward, but you're still tucked under. These are not good graphics, but you know what I mean?
I got it.
So the answer is to actually take this seat and either flatten it, be it like I have a fancy car, so I can actually tilt my seat that way.
Cool.
But even that, I can't do it 100%. But if you can fill in with like a towel or something, this gaping hole, and level off the seat and make it more flat and level, your pelvis is just going to be a little bit more like neutral when you're sitting. And then your low back is going to be taking like all the pressure of that position. So when I thought about that, I was like, yeah. And quite honestly, like my husband's car is old. It's like a 2001, but it still has a bucket. So I have to think, and it's really shallow, because I think as people have progressed and whoever makes the cars, they're, you know, measuring people sitting, it's gotten worse, because I think people's sitting habits are just kind of getting a little really tucked under. So, so it's, I think almost every car has it at this point. So that's just something to think about, because even my mother-in-law, I was in Kansas recently, and she had a big lumbar pillow.
Are you like, oh my God.
I had to like go run to the grocery store. So I tilted it down and I sat on it. Because I was like, that's what I need. I need like the prop to bring my pelvis up to sit. So I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to sit on her.
Well, and then like, as that applies to us, as our pelvis feels that way, like if we're squatting with our pelvis tucked under our body or anything, I mean, it's
a lot of people
hamstrings
don't have that range of motion. So like, you know, you're kind of already working against the grain. So it's like, why keep repeating a bad habit? You might as well like be able to self-correct it, especially if you do have to sit in your car for a long period of time. Because again, it goes back to that frequency. Like if you're going to be in it for a long period of time, your tissues will get adapted to that. And so you might as well like set your pelvis up into like a nicer position to like stack and take the load of you sitting on top of it if you have to already sit.
Oh my gosh, our lifestyle is just messing us up.
It is, you know, it is. And it goes back to just like, everybody's trying to like make life so much easier, which I understand, because, you know, life is a lot harder than it used to be from a stress situation. But again, making some of those easy choices, again, are they really all that effective and helpful for our bodies? And I think that was the big paradigm shift I experienced of, I could get to point A to point B in the fastest way possible, but like, what was I doing to my body to get there? It's like the Michael Phelps, right?
Exactly. And also, I think we also struggle with like, we are trying to cram more and more things into our day. And so if you can slow down, it's a problem, because whenever I talk to people, they are doing so much, but if you're forced to slow down and you can't fit as much into your day, maybe you do more better. Maybe you're more effective. I don't know.
Well, and I think people underestimate that rest is still movement. Rest is still movement. It really is. I mean, I know it looks like less movement, but to be laying down and, you know, being restful, it's like you're still breathing, you know, your eyes are still blinking or they're closed, you know, and like your body is still moving internally, even though you're laying relatively still. So to just know that that needs to be in the circle of stacking of, you know, it needs to be of importance, just like walking. So you're not, you know, you're not doing a detriment to actually physically rest.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny. I have a Pilates teacher client. She's just sold her studio and she's kind of nervous because she's going to have downtime and she needs to talk to you. Like, you need to rest. Yeah. But oh God, I had one more point I wanted to say before we wrap up. Oh, what was it? Well, this idea of like the progress paradox. I read this book years ago, but it's like what you're saying, just because things are getting easier and better, our lives aren't necessarily improving.
Right.
And you see it from a physical standpoint. Like, why does everybody have low back pain? Why? I mean, people are a mess.
Yeah. So, again, Katy Bowman has some really good ideas around this of, you have these cultural injuries.
Oh.
And cultural pathologies. You do. I mean, assuming that we're like in a westernized culture, because if you go to other areas of the world, they don't have these issues.
Yeah.
So bunions are sort of like the perfect example where, you go to a tribe in Africa, they don't have bunions. They don't wear shoes, they have beautiful feet. They're all spread out. They can climb trees, but you come to like, Chicago, and like most of my female clients have bunions because they've been cramming their poor little feet into tiny pointy shoes for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And again, the tissues have just adapted to this shaping. And so again, it's a cultural thing, right?
Yeah. On that point, sometimes I thank God every day that I don't have like my other career anymore, because I was wearing those pointy shoes all day, every day. I never wear heels anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just so grateful that I'm barefoot most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
I go get a pedicure. Like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm barefoot. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, Katy, thank you so much. This is so helpful and like good real life stuff.
Yeah.
Like this is what
I like to call it like being like life fit.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it really is about just like being able to get through your life and do the things you want to do with with your body not really stopping you.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're all getting older. And this is how we want to be able to move when we're 65, 75. Right. I don't plan on not moving then.
No, I'm going to do this forever.
Yeah. And there's no reason that
there's no retirement.
No, well, I can't afford to retire. Yeah.
Not happening.
But I do think, and I've made some connections with women who do focus on like, as we get older, like what's really important. We need to figure out what is truly important.
Right.
And it's being able to move. Awesome, Katy.
I mean, the majority of my clientele are like baby boomers. So this is like, keep going ahead of us. It's kind of awesome to work with this population because of the fact that I learned so much from them. But their goals are very different. It's like, I fell, I need to have better balance. I have grandchildren. I need to be able to keep up with them. I love to travel internationally. I need to be able to put my bag in the overhead compartment. So those are like life goals. That's daily life. And so to me, that's actually more attainable than saying like, I really want a 6-pack at 70. And I'm like, well, we could try, but it's aesthetic. It's like,
Right.
So to me, it's been really fun because luckily that is sort of the way that I've sort of operated and taught most clients, is to have, again, some of those life goals. And so now I'm like, oh, that's my goal too. I want to be able to do that. And if I can't carry my child around a little bit like now, then what am I going to be able to do in like, 30 years or whatever, if I have grandchildren someday? So
exactly. Yeah. I would love to be able to still do what I do with my child that I'm going to do with my grandchildren.
Correct. Exactly.
So when these women start to work with you, do they come with you because they have an injury, or do they come with you because they're trying to get ahead of the game?
That's a good question. Probably a little both.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a couple direct referrals from physical therapists.
Awesome.
So yeah, exactly. So as soon as they're done with their PT, they basically end up in my studio. And then, yes, some people, they just sort of, either a friend has done Pilates or somebody in their circle has suggested it. It's usually like a direct referral. It's been really great for me. I think it'd be great for you. And then that's the way it typically works.
Oh yeah. Referrals are life. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, I think the majority of what we get is referral based.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. One last question.
Yeah.
This is just an opinion question.
Yeah.
You guys have those Legree method classes out?
We do, not around here, but yeah, they are around.
Do you have an opinion on them?
The super reformers I think they already look intimidating to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I like know how to work one, but, It kind of goes back to Joseph Pilates when he created it. It was like mat work, reformer, Cadillac chair, ladder barrel, spine corrector. Like he had a whole system of movement. And if you stick to just like one aspect of it, you're sort of losing the holistic view of what it was really meant to be.
Yeah.
And I really do think, I was talking about this the other day, I think Joseph Pilates really wanted, if you read his books, he really wanted people to be less sedentary even then. And this is like, again, in like the 30s, 40s. So he just wanted to incorporate more movement into people's days. There's all these silly videos of him teaching outdoors. He's into like dry brushing, breathing, just simple things that are still relevant today.
Yeah.
And so when there's been like a Legree, it's sort of like, to be harsh, like it's kind of like a bastardized version of
Yes.
Me.
Agreed.
Where it's, you know, again, it's all about like the goal of like the burning of the calories, the you know, loading to the max, you know, and I think it just sets people up for a lot of injury, you know, because again, they're sitting at their desk for 8 hours and then they're like knocking it out for an hour, and it's just their tissues aren't adapted to do a lot of those things. Mm-hmm. So I think from a long-term standpoint, it's not as sustainable. And I think at the end of the day, it's really about finding like sustainable movement. Like what can you do for the rest of your life?
Exactly. That is, yes, that needs to be on a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Like what can you do the rest of your life? And that's the same thing, like with what I talk about with my gals too. It's like, we shouldn't be on like, a diet in terms of the sense, like we're eliminating things. We should be eating in a way that we can eat for the rest of our lives that we're truly enjoying.
Correct.
Yeah. If you're not enjoying it, what's the point?
Right.
Exactly. Oh my God, Katy, I could talk to you all day long.
I know. We could. Totally.
I really appreciate your input and coming and talking to us. Thank you so much. I want to go to Chicago.
Hopefully this helps.
Yeah. Oh, it's so helpful because again, big picture. Big picture.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Katy. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Then I'll talk to you soon.
I know. I'll find you online again.
Yeah. Thanks, Katy.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.